Michelle with Pink and Maine. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to be making some cards with our Cozy Critters ephemera pack and our Cozy Critters 6x6 paper pad, along with some other fun goodies. Let's get started with our first card, which is going to be super simple and sweet. My card base is an A2 size card base, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when folded, and I've made it with our Pebble cardstock, which is a nice craft or light tan color. I've got this adorable little guy from the ephemera pack. It's a little hedgehog with a leaf, and he's got a little wood piece behind him, and it says "Hello, friend." I've also picked out 3 leaves from the ephemera pack. I'm just going to make a simple background for this card using our crosshatch cover die. It cuts out this nice little crosshatch pattern, and it fits really well on an A2 size card, and it's just going to create a fun textured background look for us. I've cut this out of our On the Green cardstock. When gluing intricate die cuts like this that are very detailed and you just need little dabs of glue here and there to hold it down. I'm just going to place it in the center of the card. I've added some of our foam tape to the back of my ephemera piece. It's going to be the main focus of the card. And then I want to just put some of these leaves kind of coming out from underneath it. So I won't stick that down until I have all my leaves in place where I want them. And now I'm ready to add our main focal piece. And there's our first card. Super simple to put together, but creates a super cute card. I've got another A2 side folding card base with our Pebble cardstock. This time we're going to use some of that pattern paper from the Cozy Critters paper pack. I've cut out 2 pieces of cardstock in 2 different colors from our layered scallops dies. This is the A2 set. We have a variety of sizes of these layered scallop dies, and I think they're so much fun. You'll see in just a second what they create. So you cut out 2 different colors, and they look kind of weird just on their own. The scallops don't go together, and they're just kind of lumpy bumpy. But if you take one of those pieces and you rotate it 180 degrees, you get alternating scallops with different colors. And it just creates a super fun and cute background. So let's glue these onto our card base. I've cut one from our coffee shop cardstock, which is a really deep, rich brown, like an espresso dark brown color. And the second panel I've cut from our construction cardstock, which is a nice orange. The die also comes with a stitched rectangle that fits perfectly within those scallops. So see, you've got those fun different color scallops going around. I love this die. I've been using it a lot lately. So with that stitched rectangle die, I've cut the plaid piece of paper from the paper pack, and I've also cut an orange dot sheet but I only wanted about 1.5 inches of that to go across the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this strip down. And whenever I put two patterns together, I like to put something across the border of them where they meet. It just kind of separates them a little bit, but look what the ribbon adds to it. Just that pop, it just separates them, makes them look really nice, gives it a nice finished look. So I'm going to go ahead and put the ribbon across. I'm just going to put it across the front and then glue the little edges to the back of the sheet. So we just lay it across and then wrap the ends towards the back. And it will just take a few seconds or so for that glue to adhere to the ribbon really well. And now we're ready to glue this panel down to the card base. There we go. I'm loving this card so far. Got lots of colors and patterns, but it's not too overwhelming. So next I've taken from the Cozy Critters ephemera this nice little woodcut piece. And we're going to add that adorable little squirrel. I'm kind of off center to the wood piece there a little bit. I've got a sentiment autumn greetings. And I've also got an extra little acorn to add to it. I'm also going to tie a knot with another piece of ribbon to our ribbon just to add that extra little dimension, extra texture. Okay, so I think we can start to glue these pieces down. I've added some foam tape to the back of the little squirrel just to pop him up a little bit. Our foam tape is 1/16 of an inch thick, so it's not super high that it's going to interfere with sending a card through the mail. I've also added a strip of the foam tape to the back of the sentiment to pop it up. And we could add it up here. Kind of like it down here. And then I'm going to tie a knot. So I'm going to slide my ribbon underneath. That's why I don't glue it down to the front, so I can tie my knot to the actual piece of ribbon there. And then I'm going to put a little dot of glue where I want that knot to stay. And I'm just going to tie a simple knot, just one simple knot. When you cross one of the pieces of ribbon through the hole to tie the knot, you just twist it slightly so that the polka dots stay on the top of the ribbon. And then I pull it tight. And then I kind of press that knot down. It'll loosen it just a tad, but it'll flatten it out a little and put it into that glue that I have there. And the last thing for me to do is just to trim that excess ribbon off. And there's our second card. Super cute. For our next card, I have one of our white card bases, which is already pre-cut and scored for you. This is a slimline card base. So originally it was 8.5 by 3.5. But what I do is I take and I cut 2.5 inches off the end. So I make a 6 by 3.5 mini slimline, and I've really been enjoying making these mini slimline cards. And then the part of the card that I've cut off, I always use it for stamping sentiments and such on, or using it for stamping images. I never waste that part that I cut off. So what I've done next is I've taken from the paper pad this green dotted sheet, and I've cut it to the same size of the card. So it is 6 by 3.5 inches. And I'm going to glue that down to the card base. Look at those pretty pumpkins on the other side. For the next layer, I've taken our mod stitched mini slimline dies, and I've cut out one that we're going to layer here with craft cardstock. Gives that nice little stitched edging around to give it that finished look. We're going to center that on the card. This die is fun. It just adds a little interest as it has 2 rounded corners and 2 square corners. For the next part, I cut a strip of the pattern paper with the small thin stripes. I cut it about 1/2 inch wide, and I cut a white piece of cardstock about 3/4 inch wide to go behind it, and I cut it the length of my mod stitched mini slim die. So it's going to go across like a little border there. So go ahead and glue that down. And this is where I'm using a piece of that cardstock that I cut off the end of the card. You can see it's got a little score line there. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. It's very faint. But once I add that striped border on top of it, you're not even going to notice that that is there. I always try to use up as much of my scrap paper as possible. I don't necessarily save a lot of scraps. They add up quite quickly, so I try to use them within my projects. Now we have our little strips glued down, and those are mostly on the card to help tie everything together. If I just put the pumpkins on the side of the card here, they would look okay, but they would be floating on the card. I like to anchor everything to the card. So that little strip across helps to anchor the pumpkins to the card. And we're going to glue these down. This ephemera pack is a lot of fun. There are a lot of pieces in there. There's a lot of critters and pumpkins and leaves and acorns. There's sentiments. So when you don't feel like coloring images, or you just want to make some quick, fun, and easy cards to go together, these are great to have on hand. And then the third pumpkin, I've added some foam tape for some dimension. And last but not least, I've got Sending Warm Hugs, which is part of the ephemera pack. And I've added some foam tape to the back of it, and we're going to stick that down on the card. And there is our next card. Just a fun card to send to a friend. Just let them know you're thinking of them. And it's great for fall with the pumpkins. Our next card is an A2 side folding white card, and the first 2 layers we're going to adhere to the card base are this scalloped rectangle that I've cut from our coffee shop cardstock, that nice rich brown, and then with one of our stitched rectangle dies I've cut out this little acorn pattern paper from the paper pad. That's really cute, very fall. So we're going to glue these to the card base. I'm using our Easy Squeeze craft glue to adhere everything. I love that when you use it, you have just a few seconds when you put the paper down to kind of shimmy it into place before it adheres. Next, I've cut this polka dot piece with our zigzag circle die. I love that extra zigzag around the edge, just gives that extra little look to it with the stitching on the inside. I'm going to glue that down to the center of the card. And next we have this adorable little hedgehog. I have the sentiment thank you. So this is a great card just to use for any occasion that you need a thank you card. And I've got the little tree stump here that I'm going to put underneath the hedgehog. Go ahead and glue that down first. I've added some foam tape to the back of the hedgehog as well as the sentiment, so we can put these down next. I'll put the thank you just under that tree stump. It ties everything together. And here's our next card. You can see how simple and easy it is to put these kinds of cards together. Just need a little cardstock layer in between the card base and the pattern paper, a little highlight spot like a circle or square to put your characters on, and the sentiment, everything just comes together nicely. For our next card, we're going to do a little bit of foiling. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my ink machine on. We have a hot pink ink machine available at Pink and Main. It's made just for us. I set it to number 3, or number 2 also works with our foilables. But I find that if you just set it to number 3 and give it a start there, that's a good way to go. If it seems like it's a bit too much heat and you're getting a lot of wrinkling in your foil, you can always back it down to 2. I've got an A2 size card base. Let's get all our parts and pieces together here. I've got one of our foilables. This is our falling leaves foilables. So it's a nice leafy background. And when you're dealing with foilables, you don't want to touch and be grabbing the toner printed design very much. You want to touch it as little as possible so you don't get oils and dirt from your hands on it. And then I'm going to be using our watercolor neutral foil. So as you can see, it almost looks like a watercolor pattern on there. It's got silver, browns, golds, into little oranges a little bit. So we're going to be foiling that. If you're using a ink machine, you're going to need a transfer folder, and one does come with the machine. You can also use a laminator with our foilables. I just find you get way more consistent, good results with the ink machine because it was made just for foiling. One thing you want to do before you foil, you want to clean off the back of your foil and your foilable piece so that there's no dust, debris, dog hair, cat hair, anything like that that will get in between the foil and the toner. So you're going to put your foil on top of your foilable pretty side up. You want to see the pretty side of the foil and put it in your carrier sheet. You're going to take the folded end of the carrier sheet and put it into the ink machine once that light is green, and it only takes about 2-3 minutes max for the ink machine to heat up to the proper temperature. You want to put it in nice, flat, and straight. And I like to keep my hand underneath the folder to support it so it goes through flat and straight. That minimizes the risk of it getting caught in the rollers somewhere and wrinkling and folding up a bit. So now it comes out of the machine. It's going to be hot when it comes out, so be careful. I'm going to remove from the carrier sheet both the foil and the foilable. See, they're still stuck together, and I'm going to let them cool completely. You want this to be completely cool before you peel the foil. I know it's exciting to pull it out of the machine and want to see what you've created right away, but give it a few seconds to cool down. You want it to be cool to the touch. And now that it's cool, my favorite part is the peel and reveal. Oh my goodness. So once you peel this foil away, this is called waste foil or a negative foil because it's got that negative pattern in it. And I'm going to show you in just a second how we can use this and we get 2 cards out of 1 piece of foil. But first we're going to ooh and ah over how gorgeous these leaves are with that foil. They've got that multicolor brown, gold tones, a little silver in there. This is simply beautiful. This is a perfect application for that watercolor neutral foil. It's on these falling leaves. So now I've got one of our full toner printed sheets. This is from our Fall Ombre Toner Panels collection. So you can see it almost looks like an ink blended background where it goes from like this mustard yellow into this rust color. It's really pretty on its own. Like I said, it looks like an ink blended background. Now, if you just put a sheet of foil over this, it's gonna cover this color completely. But if you take your waste foil or your negative foil and put it over it, you're going to get that pattern in it. So let's foil it and I'll show you. We're going to get our carrier sheet. I like to line it up on the back because I can see where that pattern is in the foil. Make sure I've got my foilable where I want it. I'm going to put it back into the carrier sheet. And run it through the ink machine. All right, I pull it out of the ink machine. It's nice and hot, so I'm gonna let it cool down. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my ink machine off and push it out of the way for now. And now that it's nice and cool, we can peel to reveal. Oh, wow. Look how we have used up every bit of that foil on that sheet. So like I said, you get 2 for 1 with the foil. But check out that ombre background of those leaves with the negative pattern of the foil. That is gorgeous, and we can make a second card with this. All right, so let's get our card made. First off, I have cut with our stitched rectangle dies from our coffee shop cardstock a piece of paper that is the size of the card base. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down to the card base. I'm not sure which foiled panel I'm going to use on this card yet. I'm going to see which one I think looks the best. Okay, so now let's decide which foiled panel we want to use for this card. And like I said, we'll definitely have another one for another card. So I've got the one that's the original foilable. And we've got these guys that are going to go on top of it with the sentiment that says, "Wishing you well." So that's really cute. I love the leaf background. Well, let's try the other one and see what it looks like. I think I want it going light to dark from top to bottom if we use this one. I think they both look nice. I think I'm going to use the original foilable because it has the white in the background. I think that works nicely with these characters who have a little white border and white background around them. But I'm definitely going to save this panel and make a gorgeous fall card with this later. So let's glue our foilable panel down. Now we can glue the sentiment. And our critters in the wagon, I'm going to put just on top of that sentiment so they kind of overlap just a bit and it all draws together, anchors each other to the card. I've added foam tape to the back of them so they pop up a little bit. And there we have it. I love it. It was so cute. I loved that foiled background. Makes it look nice and fall, a little bit of shine. So thanks again for joining me today as we created 5 cards using our Cozy Critters ephemera pack and 6x6 paper pad. The products coordinate perfectly together so that you can make some adorable fall cards. Leave me a comment below telling me which one is your favorite. You can find these products and more at pinkandmane.com or ask your local retailer. And until next time, my friends, keep living the creative life.